Hello and welcome to my Pilates studio. We're going to be meeting on my living room area rug and doing some movements that will be core strengthening, but will also feel lengthening and refreshing as well. So I hope you have a simple playground type ball. It does not necessarily have to be this big. It could be a little bit smaller. And I would also say that a yoga block could be used interchangeably for many of the things we'll be doing with this ball. So I'm excited to share some very fundamental basic Pilates moves with you, and I hope they leave you feeling very refreshed and lengthened and stronger. Thank you for clicking play. Let's get started. So we're going to start off in a seated position, and we're going to take the ball and bring it behind us and tuck it in fairly close to our tailbone. And once I lean back here, I am going to feel the support of the ball, and I can kind of rest into the ball. So in addition to just resting into the ball, I am going to try to pull my belly button back towards the ball and reach my arms forward. From this position, I get a fresh inhale, and I'm going to exhale to just deepen my C curve of my spine into the ball, and a little tiny release. And we exhale to activate the abdominals and pull back into the resistance of the ball. Good, so just having that ball there creates something for us to press into, requiring us to just work a little bit harder on those deep abdominals. You should be feeling a deep belly quiver now, as I am. Fresh breath, exhale, and that little hollowing back into the ball. Really great deep belly work here. Exhale and release up. So we're going to do a little press back. We're going to twist over to the right side, lift, and come back to center. A little press back, a little twist, lift, and center, getting into a little bit more oblique work here. Yes. And breath is super important because it's a huge aid in helping us accomplish the deep muscle activation that we're looking for. Exhale, twist, lift, and let's go to the other side. So we're going to do a little press back, a little twist, a little lift, and center. One of our basic Pilates principles is finding flow in your movement. So although this is challenging, we're also able to make it look almost easy. We know that we're quivering on the inside, but maybe nobody else does. Good, excellent work. Two more this direction. You should be feeling your obliques really challenged and working hard here. Great work. So let's bring ourselves up. We're going to scooch the ball a little bit further back so that when we lay back on it, it's going to feel like it's in our lung rib cage area of our back. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and support my head with laced fingers, and I'm going to go ahead and open my upper body over the ball. This should feel like a lovely chest stretch, and then also the spine is going into just a little bit of extension. If you're not comfortable going back that far, then you're going to support your head until you find that place where you feel challenged. Good, and if you can come all the way back and your head can touch the ground, wonderful. Maybe your elbows can spread apart and also touch the ground. We are looking for all that chest expansion here because daily life and the pressure of gravity and habit has caused us to kind of shrink on the front side and live a little bit concave. And this is just resisting and opposing all of that with the opening of the chest. Good, so from here we can curl up and lift and draw those elbows in, rib cage curling up, and we're gonna go ahead and lay ourselves back and stretch over the ball again. So we're moving slowly, but we're moving very deliberately. Good, and so when we release over the ball, we are giving our back the stretch that it needs, the extension that it needs. Fresh breath, exhale to curl up, hollow the belly, as if we were trying to come all the way up off of the ball, really working that hard against gravity to lift. Exhale for our curl, and release. Good, so we're working on having the rib cage curl. And we've got one more here. Exhale, curl, and bring your hands behind those legs to lift yourself up. We're gonna transition and bring the ball between our knees. And we're gonna lay ourselves down for some bridging work. And I'll go ahead and transition my angle a little bit so you can see the ball. I'm gonna bring my feet to parallel and hip width, fresh breath here. I'm gonna exhale to tail tuck and peel my spine up until I'm in a lifted bridge. Now that I'm up, I'm gonna add some shoulder and upper arm support pressing into the floor, and I'm gonna squeeze my ball here. As I'm squeezing my inner thighs together, working those adductor muscles, also squeezing the glutes, and trying to relax the upper body as much as possible. Squeezing in on that ball. Good, exhaling to press in. 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Fresh breath at the top. Let's lay our spine down. Let's try to elongate our spine, lengthen it as we lay it all the way down. Fantastic work. Good. So what we'll do next is drop the ball down and bring it under our feet. I've got my feet resting on the top of the ball. I'm going to get a fresh breath. I'm going to exhale to that tail tuck and peel my spine up just like I did when my feet are on the floor. If this feels too unstable, you can bring your feet right back down to the floor. So this is a bit more challenging than a regular bridge. We're going to move the ball away 2 inches and back in. So just moving the ball out and in, but squeezing my inner thighs together to give me a little balance support and a little more stability. Again, my arms are helping to support me here, and my feet do feel wobbly for sure. 4 and 3 and 2 and 1, and it is so much work to just hold myself here with my legs squeezing together. Good, feeling lots of quivering, fresh breath. We're gonna release the spine all the way back down to the mat. Ah, big sigh of relief. That was a lot of work. Good, let's go ahead and move the ball to be below our low back area. So when I place the ball here, I can feel the ball touching the back of my waist and then also touching my tailbone. So that is the perfect position for the ball. From here, we're gonna raise right leg to tabletop and left leg to tabletop. There's a little bit of balance going on here, but my arms are helping to stabilize me. So from here, I'm gonna do a toe tap and lift the leg up. The other leg taps and lifts. My spine is neutral, and so we're not in flexion or extension. Tapping and lifting, opening up from the hip, not the knee, opening the hip to lower and lift, and feeling the core challenge to stabilize here. When I bring my fingers to my obliques and my deep abdominals, they are feeling very engaged, working to hold me here. Good, last one, holding those legs up. Good, and we're gonna take those legs and reach them to the sky. So from here, the ball should feel stable. It shouldn't feel like it's going to slide out. If it does, you can always bring your hands back there for a little bit of support. We're gonna go ahead and bring our legs to a straddle. One leg reaches long away, The other leg reaches overhead, and I can add a little tiny pull to this long, straight leg. The aim is to make our legs straight. If you need a slight bend, that is also okay. Good, so we're feeling the hamstring stretch, a little bit of release after our bridging. Reaching the leg very long. So Pilates is all about strengthening muscles, but also lengthening muscles. So we don't just want to make our muscles contract and do the hard work without then giving them an opportunity to release and stretch. Lengthening out through those muscles. Reach. Good. So from here, after stretching those legs, we're going to bring them straight up. We're going to do a straddle and a straddle and a semicircle. And we switch, switch, circle the legs. Switch, switch. Your circle could be smaller, not a problem at all. Exploring your range of motion through your big hips joints, the ball and socket joint. Good, so all this work coming from the powerhouse of our core, our back muscles, our abdominal muscles, the glutes. Yes. Sweep. We've got two more. Switch, switch, rotate. Switch, switch, rotate. Hug those knees into the chest. Good. So weight should definitely feel like it's shifting towards your chest because your tail is supported. From here, the legs are going to lengthen, and we're going to do just a little bit of rocking up off of the ball. Now my hands are there to make sure it stays in place, but we're just giving our back the opportunity to find deeper flexion than it might be able to do without the ball there. So it's kind of a nice landing pad for us, but also enabling us to find deeper extension. Only go so far as you feel comfortable. We want to be careful with our neck, so we don't want to shift weight onto our neck. We want the weight to stay on our shoulders and upper back. Just some simple rocking motion. We might find a place where we can hover here, and the forearms are down, the triceps are down on the carpet, and then I'm just supporting my hips up here, reaching those legs far, far away. My legs just so happen to rest on top of the cushion here, but they could easily drop lower or reach further depending on my back mobility. Good, and I'm going to slowly bring this shape in and drop my feet down to the floor. Lifting up and removing the ball. Good, rock yourself up to seated. We're going to find a side lying position, and we're going to bring the ball between our legs right at our ankles. So in this position, I'm going to have my legs super straight. My top arm is going to be my kickstand, my support. My lower arm, I'll just be resting on that arm. Good, so from here, I'm going to get a fresh breath, and I'm going to exhale to squeeze my legs and lift and release down to the floor. Exhale for the lift and release. So working the side obliques and inner thigh of that lower leg, exhaling to lift. And a couple more presses up. Good, let's hold those legs up and squeeze that ball. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. I'm trying to reach my legs as long as I can make them. Super long legs, squeezing into the ball. And now doing a little walking motion, ball moving between those legs just a tiny bit. Reach, reach, reach. Good, lengthen, lengthen. Keep reaching and hold. Keep squeezing, keep lengthening. Good, and release. We're going to find a plank here, and I'm going to do an assisted plank where the ball is going to be supporting my hip to start off with. So the ball can be right under the hip joint, finding that place that feels comfortable to you. My top leg is in front, my lower leg is behind, and elbow directly under my shoulder. I'm gonna get a fresh breath. Then I'm gonna try to lift up off of the ball, or at least lighten my weight on the ball. We can take a moment, take a break, sink into the ball, get a fresh breath, and then exhale to try to lift ourselves off of the ball. So it's an assisted plank, and it's wonderful if you are working on building your core strength for planking. Fresh breath, exhale, hover. We can add an arm sweep overhead. So the ball is still there. I still feel it. I still know it's supporting me a little bit. If I feel like I need a little extra support, I can let my weight sink into the ball. But I want you to actively lengthen your torso. Good, last sweep. And great work. Let's bring it down and come to kneeling. Good, fantastic work. We're gonna go ahead and switch sides. Lengthening out long, we're gonna bring the ball right between our legs, around our ankles, or a little higher. Lengthening out here. Legs nice and long. My top arm is the kickstand support. Fresh breath, and we're just gonna exhale to reach those legs up super long. Inhale to lower, exhale to reach. Inhale to lower, exhale to press. Lengthen through those legs. Lower leg helping to support the upper leg. Both legs reaching long, those top obliques doing some work to support us. Yes, squeezing and reaching. Good, we're gonna go ahead and hold the legs up and squeeze in on the ball. Definitely the lower leg feels like it's getting fatigued more. Press, 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 good. And now that little walking motion, reaching your toes as if you were tiptoeing 1 inch by 1 inch. Good, tiny little reaches. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I want you to reach, and I want you to hold and squeeze the ball and get longer. Think about your torso, even the top of your head, reaching in opposition to your toes. Lengthen, lengthen. Hold, 3, 2, 1, and release. We're gonna bring the ball up to be under our hip as a support for our plank. Top leg will be in front, lower leg will be behind, and I've got my elbow right under my shoulder. Good, so I feel a little bit wobbly, but my feet are helping to support me, and my arm and forearm are helping to support me. Fresh breath here. Exhaling to lift the weight off of the ball. Good, feeling the lower obliques having to work really hard here. Release, get a fresh breath. Exhale to hover the hips just a bit. Still getting support from the ball. Good, we're gonna go ahead and try to hover and lengthen and add on the big arm sweeps overhead and low. So what we also think about in Pilates is part of the body stabilizes while a different part of the body moves. And so we see we've got a stabilizing side and we've got a moving side. Last 3 and 2 and 1. Fantastic work. Bringing it down. Lovely. Let's come into 4-point kneeling. We're gonna have the ball between our legs again, and it's just gonna give us something to anchor into and be a firm foundation for us. So here we are in 4-point kneeling. We are gonna tuck our toes under and get an exhale to hover those knees up. And right here, I'm gonna keep my neutral spine, activate my belly as I squeeze in on the ball. Squeeze, squeeze. And that's an exhale for the squeeze for 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. We up our tempo. In, 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 in. Lift your tummy. 4, 3, 2, 1. Release those knees down. Slide back to child's pose for a quick stretch. Breathe into the back ribs. Then melt yourself over the ball. Good, sliding forward. We're gonna take the ball and bring it forward for some prone work. We'll be down on our belly. The ball is gonna be out in front of us. So from here, my nose is barely hovered above the floor. And I've got my palms on the ball. I'm gonna get a fresh breath, and I'm gonna exhale to press into that ball and lift my torso into swan. I'm also now reaching my toes far, far away. As my chest lifts, my belly feels the stretch of the extension of the spine. Laying myself down, that ball rolls out just a bit. Get a fresh breath. Exhale to start to press into the ball as we peel the chest up from the floor. And we find that regal pose, shoulders back, chest lifted and open, legs reaching away, and a little bit of extension in the spine. Release yourself back down. One more fresh breath. Exhale to peel. And find the pose. Try to melt the shoulders low, lengthen the neck long. Hold, reach those legs away, all your muscles active here. And release. Down, down, down. Fantastic work. Let's take that ball behind, and we're just gonna make some circles. That ball is gonna circle from hands to overhead. Good, and we're going to reverse directions. Sweep it behind and overhead. We're bringing those shoulder blades together to hand the ball off to the other hand. And one more here. And lovely work. Bringing yourself up. Here we are seated in a straddle. We've got the ball right out in front of us. We're gonna get a fresh breath. Feel those sit bones under you, and then we're gonna start to roll the ball forward, hollowing out the belly, reaching the crown of our head towards the ball. Fresh breath here. Exhale to reach out just a millimeter further. Good, another fresh breath, and we reach out a millimeter further. Try to keep those legs straight. Folding over. And rolling yourself back up. Good, we're gonna roll ourselves out towards our left leg. The ball rolls out. I'm gonna try to keep both of my sit bones heavy anchored to the floor as I reach out over this one leg. Try to straighten the legs. Your feet could be pointed or flexed. Either way is fine. We want knees to be straight. Roll yourself up, and we're off to the other side. Rolling the ball out and away, fresh breath. Making both sit bones as heavy as you can, reaching long. Feel your rib cage stretching, ribs reaching apart to lengthen. And rolling back in and up. We'll take the ball off to one side and prop up one knee with the ball. From here, I'm gonna use my arms to help keep my torso lifted and tall. Fresh breath. Exhale to raise that heel up. We're gonna do some rolling. So we're working into hip mobility here. I don't know how your hip feels about this. My hip feels challenged a little bit. You could always bring yourself over further, which makes it much easier. But we also definitely want to make sure that we're maintaining our range of motion in our big joints, especially as we age. So rolling back, we should feel a nice glute squeeze, but also just the challenge of having our hip at this angle with that much rotation out to the side. Good, little presses back. Should feel like a nice release once we get warmed up. Yes, pressing back. And we're gonna bring that leg across in front and release over. Forehead rests on the ball. lifting the upper body, and we're gonna bring the ball over to the other knee. So we prop the knee up, and then we find support through our arms to try to have a tall torso, tall spine. We're gonna lift that heel up, and we find that pressing back, squeezing the glute, opening up our hip here. Good. So the other thing that daily life causes is short hip flexors that are kind of tight. And so when we have a few minutes to work with our bodies, opening up those hip flexors is a very important activity that we want to make sure we don't neglect, just like opening up the chest and working our upper back muscles to help support us. Good. Last 2 rolls here. And we're going to bring that leg in front, ball out in front, and we're going to just hinge forward, roll forward, and let your forehead rest on the ball. Bringing yourself all the way up. Thank you so much for joining me for this mat workout using a little playground ball. There's so much that we can do with this ball to challenge our flexibility and our strength. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you next time.